trouble, right? No one can.
Just take it easy. Everything will be fine.
Na ulicích dneska není bezpečno. Radši se někde schovejte, policajti dneska řádějí.
You holding? You must be. You look fine. Bet you've never missed a dose in your life.
I don't know exactly, but someone saw him. In the sewers. At the mercy of a man's voice.
A cult of some kind? They say there is a resurgence.
Pavel is impressionable. The world terrified him. He spent all his time hiding, dreaming of utopias that do not exist.
Surprised if Sandoval was really your daughter. He is clever. Was that you? Okay, let's go. Where? Could be something.
Let's see what it was.
Nothing. You?
Shh. Nothing. I got nothing. Fuck this.
The boss can't yell at us.
I hate this.
I'm doing it for the boss.
Quiet.
Getting closer! My dog is better than you do. I swear! This I never did anything. No! Please! Oh, God! Tell them I was crazy. I have money. You do not kill me.
Any of us has ever seen.
What? I never did anything.
Hog travesty.
I swear!
Massacre.
This
How about
Just leave me alone. Don't hurt me. Don't hurt me. Please.
I have money. Do not kill me.
Just leave me alone. No. Please. I never did anything. I have money. Do not kill me.
Anomaly detected. Trace program initiated. Access granted.
Why are you attacking us? What did Neon ever do to you?
Don't be so surprised. I've seen what your product does to hogs. Neon was bound to draw attention.
I have no idea what you're talking about. This is a private lab. You shouldn't even be here. Give me one good reason not to trigger the alarm.
For starters, because there's no one out there to respond. So how about neither of us do anything rash just yet?
What is it you expect from me? I'm just a chemist here.
You make a product that kills people. I'm not leaving until that's no longer possible. And you're gonna help me.
Why would I help you? People have a right to disconnect from the world. To do whatever they want to their minds, their bodies. I see no reason why that should stop.
I'm not giving you an option. Either you help me sabotage this lab, or I do to you the same thing I did to your armed friends out there.
This is usually the part where I scream and the men with guns all come running.
Not this time. You can scream all you want, but no one's gonna hear you.
There may not be much I can do to stop you, but that doesn't mean I have to help you either. Why are you attacking us? What did Neon ever do to you?
Don't be so surprised. I've seen what your product does to hogs. Neon was bound to draw attention.
I have no idea what you're talking about. This is a private lab. You shouldn't even be here. Give me one good reason not to trigger the alarm.
For starters, because there's no one out there to respond. So how about neither of us do anything rash just yet?
What is it you expect from me? I'm just a chemist here.
I'm here to warn you. More often than not in this industry, somewhere down the line, people get hurt. And that means you end up having to deal with someone like me. Or worse.
Are you warning me? Or threatening me?
I'm telling it like it is. You may not be the one out there pushing, but that doesn't mean you're not part of it.
People are so eager to demonize those who make and distribute drugs. And yet, what actually drives the industry? Individuals who happen to like the stuff. We have a right to do whatever we want to our bodies. Some want to be robots, some want to see rainbows. Me, I have no prejudice against either.
I've seen what your product can do to people. I've uncovered your delivery system, and I found your lab. Don't think for a second that I can't do even more than that. Trust me, you want to walk away from all this while you still can.
All right, I got it. The American doesn't like drugs. So, no more mixing neon. I promise. Just stay the hell away from me.
I have a parcel here.
Right here in the city.
Damn golems. You're not already terrorists. You're in. Turn you into.
Oh, hello.
A T-46-4. Are they serious?
I have to help this customer. If you have other things to do, maybe you could come back later?
Reportérům na Makadamu sdělila, že doufá, že její hlášení, které odešle OSN po skončení cesty, umožní členům Rady bezpečnosti dosáhnout.
Alex, this whisper chip you gave me, it's an easy plant?
You're heading into TF29? Already?
Our enemies aren't waiting around while we lick our wounds.
Fair enough.
There'll be a data port on the NSN's motherboard. Access it and then just plug and play. Or plug and record in this case.
Got it. I'll let you know when it's done.
What's their status? Where was that chopper headed?
I have 3 airfields in Qatar that are promising, but they're privately owned, and nobody can get close enough to take a look.
I got a whole lot of nothing. Every time I send someone to follow... up on a lead. It turns out the buildings are abandoned, burned out, or bombed into rubble.
Jesus Christ.
Satellite footage has identified 3...
We'll get them for you, Jensen.
Satellite footage has identified 3 possibles. But based on what the roads look like around here, I don't think the
Right now, I think McLeod's about
Where's that train station casualty report? Right here. No change from last hour.
This is so...
I'm on it. Still unconfirmed.
Agent fire to side.
You think one of them will pop up and say,
Causing gridlock.
the Jinn still believe what's being told them or don't they? We need to know.
You think one of them would pop up on some list?
Good to see you're okay.
Everything's got pretty hairy in Dubai.
Run DNA checks for all the outlets agencies.
Check out these are the chances you made a mistake. The Jinn still believe what's being told them or don't they? We need to know.
You think one of them would pop up on some list?
Things got pretty hairy in Dubai.
The last few walked straight into an ambush. Run DNA checks for all the outlets.
These are the chances he knew he was taking.
Run DNA checks for all the outlets. Guys, might as well go.
Terrible for you.
This is so weird.
Because you are always watching.
Adam, you're here. You made it in. It's good to see you're okay.
Hey, Aria, yeah, it was a close call. I got lucky. A lot of people didn't.
I was here working when the first reports came in. It was chaos. Phones ringing off the hook, people yelling, scrambling to find out what was going on. Then when Miller told me you were there,
I'm all right.
Good. You looking for him? Because he's tied up right now and meeting with Leon, I think.
Really? He's using the NSN right now?
Yeah, I just saw him. Oh, hey, that reminds me, here's yours.
What's this?
The card for the shooting range. Chang changed all the codes this morning, said something about only giving access to people he's vetted personally. The bombing really freaked him out. Third one in 6 months, can you believe it? I'm really glad you're okay.
Thanks, Aria. I'll let you get back to what you were doing.
Yeah, I better get back downstairs. It's gonna be a busy day. Come by later if you want to talk.
Copy that.
My God, Jensen, I heard about the explosion. We should relocate. I was thinking we could corner Director Miller together. Tell him it's not safe enough here.
We're fine, Chang.
The police station, the train station, we're next. I can feel it. I can more than feel it. I can see it happening.
No one knows where we are. There's no reason to get paranoid.
That's where you're wrong. They're trying to pull the lid off of us, Jensen, or someone is. Praha Dovos just got hacked.
Our building's front company. Thought it was fake.
I wish it was fake. Miller's got me cleaning up IntelliCam footage from the attack to help figure out who these people are. Meanwhile, maybe they're trying to figure out who we are? Why else poke into an import company?
You think someone's figured out that the company's a front? Maybe they know what's really down here.
We have a lot of enemies. The people who bombed the train station. You don't think they'd love to know where we are? You need to help me figure out who's looking into us and make them stop.
All right. You have any leads?
I traced our hacker snoop to an unrented apartment. Top floor, 33 Hlavny, just down the street. This guy walks by us every single day. Probably walks in.
You're kidding.
See? You feel it now. The constant buried alive feeling? Correct me if I'm wrong, but I thought we were supposed to be suspicious of things that go on outside these walls.
It's never that simple.
Just get into that apartment, access the computer they used, and find out what you can. And be careful, Jensen. We don't know who we're dealing with.
I'll look into it. As soon as I know something, so will you.
No, that's not consistent with the train station cameras.
Last night, the collective published the tax returns, 50 richest people in Switzerland. It made us very interesting.
Cute. But they're never going to beat the time they broadcast that sweatshop footage during the
Hey, Agent Jensen. Nice work in Dubai. But still, you know what I want to know is who those ogged up guys in the gold masks were. I'll be compiling all the case files, and as soon as I know anything, it'll be up on the board. Oh, here we go. The Diwali crime family. As you may already know, they're one of the largest crime syndicates in Eastern Europe, but they do business almost everywhere, from Northern Europe all the way to the Middle East. After their humble beginnings in a coastal town in Georgia, the Diwali quickly moved from gambling to more lucrative criminal enterprises, till they found their specialty, smuggling, which includes human trafficking too. The Diwali can get anything to anywhere. It's as if borders just don't exist to them. But their rapid expansion came at the cost of their Georgian purity, when they started incorporating an ever-increasing number of Russians into the group. If you ask me, I think a major power struggle is coming within the Diwali. One of the old versus the new. The past versus the future.
I don't even know where to start with theorizing percentages.
The classic Diwali structure has 2 spies, or pakhans, working for the lieutenant who report directly to the boss, to make sure he stays the boss. Those guys are pretty violent.
Patience is the first thing you learn to have. Second.
Ah, the Diwali called this guy Constantine. Like that's supposed to be intimidating, right? We don't have a last name for Constantine, but until his death in the Rizika bombing, he was a high-placed member of the Diwali crime family, answering to Otar Batkavelli. We suspect he has lots of connections in the upper echelons of the organization, all the way up to Radic Nikoladze and beyond. Between you and me, I suspect that he's a Pakhan, a spy that watches the Diwali lieutenant closely to make sure he doesn't make a move on the boss.
Nothing.
Otar Batkavelli. This guy's a classic. They don't make many like him anymore. Sharp mind, a real businessman. One of those gangsters who thinks that crime is a necessary evil, you know? If it's gonna happen, he's there to make sure people have respect and make good money. Good business. Purity First is an anti-aug group dedicated to keeping humans human, all pure, no augmentations. In their obsessive pursuit of this goal, they have taken extreme measures and are suspected of being responsible for multiple acts of breaking and entering, vandalism, and theft. On occasion, they've even become violent, being implicated in several assaults and murders as they push for their goal of human purity. They've been quiet since the incident.
I just wish someone would nut up and take the blame.
This guy is the face of the Jinn and a charismatic force of nature. They call him the Bull of the North and the Heart of the Jinn. Real name Salar, works in conjunction with his cold and calculating brother, Wasim, who saved his life during the AUG incident. He is proudly augmented and parades his AUGs around wherever and whenever he likes. The hatred of AUGs from groups around the world has only emboldened him and his organization.
They're posturing, as opposed to conducting an actual investigation.
Close my eyes, but all
I would have thought you'd had your fill of these guys since Dubai, Jensen. The Jinn, a group of smugglers led by twin brothers Salar and Wasim Alam. Their exact base of operations is unknown, but it's most likely in Muscat, Oman. The brothers Alam have been in operation since 2020 and have greatly expanded their operations since then, recruiting mercenaries, ex-military, nationalistic agitators, and other colorful criminal agitators from Afghanistan, Iran, Iraq, Saudi Arabia, and the surrounding region. They deal in drugs, weapons, medical implants, AUGs, and they occasionally throw in some human trafficking.
No, that's not consistent with the train station cameras.
Our arms dealer Shepard, aka John Trent, is a former Special Forces commander and ex-Bell Tower operative. And as is typical for those ex-Bell Tower employees, he's been selling off old Bell Tower tech and weapons. But we don't need to worry about him anymore. He was killed by those gold mask guys in Dubai.
These guys might as well
Wasim Alam, the head of the Jinn, former limb clinic doctor and surgeon before he turned to more profitable enterprises. He brings the same cold and calculated approach he brought to saving lives to running his business with his brother, Salar.
You'd think one of them would pop up on some list.
Agent Singh, great poker player. I still owe him 100 credits. So I hope his incursion with the Jinn lasts another few months. You know, maybe he'll forget I owe him the money.
You know, state police aren't above profiling.
Otar's right-hand man is this guy, Vano. Not the sharpest tool in the shed, if you know what I mean, but he's strong and loyal, something Otar values greatly.
Is it or is it not a probable target?
Right now, I think my blood is about 60% cap.
You know as much as I do about these guys. They're augmented, well-trained, and very dangerous. And they seem to be massing weapons and AUGs for some sort of attack. We don't know what yet.
Composition could tell us a lot, but it's the trigger that really does the talking. Train station cameras.
Dr. Talos Rucker, former limb clinic doctor and current leader of the Augmented Rights Coalition. Rucker has chosen to leave his native Germany and to live in the Utilek complex near Prague as a protest to draw attention to the upcoming Human Restoration Act vote. Rucker is a pacifist and believes that what is happening in Prague is what will happen all over the world if the Restoration Act becomes law.
Nothing. I've run DNA checks through all the alphabet agencies. Nothing.
You've heard of these guys. ARC, or the Augmented Rights Coalition. They're a human rights group who, on the surface at least, is trying to provide equal rights for augmented people. It was started by Dr. Talos Rucker soon after the AUG incident, when Rucker started to speak out against the anti-AUG legislation that was being passed by several local governments. If you ask me, it's not working. Things seem to be getting worse. AUG preaches non-violence, but a string of terror attacks has put them on the terror watch list. So I'll let you be the judge.
What I hear, the explosives were designed to get maximum...
Samizdat is an underground news outlet that likes to think of itself as the real news. They are anti-establishment and anti-almost everything else, including business addresses, so we like to keep our eyes and ears open for any mention of them.
As opposed to conducting an actual investigation.
These guys might as well be ghosts.
Preemptive action would be...
Here we go, the Church of the Machine God, and to some, the Church of the Machine, without the God. And then again, to others, the Singularity Church of the Machine God. This group has so many names and subgroups, it's hard to keep track. And believe it or not, they've been around in one form or another since the early 1970s. There are a lot of contradictory reports on who they are and what they want, but in general, they all want the same thing. They want to merge their consciousnesses and become one with the Machine God through a ritual they call Ascension.
This is so weird.
They don't care about jurisdictional.
I'd rather not say what this reminds me of.
Ah, what to say about the Juggernaut Collective that isn't speculation. A bunch of their members were running operations out of Montreal in 27, resurfacing for a while in 28. You heard of the Rifleman Bank Station? Bell Tower? Anyway, the Collective is a group of hacker activists, or hacktivists. Oh my god, I hate that word. Dedicated to the cause of freedom. At least that's what they say, or what their actions appear to say. They fight corruption by exposing hypocrisy and protecting the unprotected. No one knows the real power structure inside of the Collective, but there is one name that echoes over the darknet. And that name that echoes even louder than Hex, and you can talk to Peter Chang if you don't believe me, that name is Janus. And some say Janus runs everything, while others think there is no Janus.
These guys might as well be ghosts.
Eyewitnesses were smashed in
The New Sons of Freedom, or NSF, is a small group of militant constitutionalists and secessionists operating in the continental United States, particularly in the Pacific Northwest. The group was formed as a reaction to the American government's increasingly authoritarian regime. NSF is committed to fighting the influence and control of a group of unknown people they believe to be the Illuminati with strategic guerrilla warfare strikes. They are suspected of having ties with Janus and the Juggernaut Collective.
Is it or is it not a probable target?
I've run DNA checks through all the alphabet.
They don't want to be caught in
No.
Dragnet.
Listening to this... This chatter? Oh my god, it's a comedy of errors.
No, it's the right call. I'm relieved, to be honest.
You'd think one of them would pop up on some list somewhere.